We're here today with Adam Robison, who teaches guitar, who has a profile on Find a Guitar Teacher. Welcome, Adam. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you, James. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm looking forward to learning more about your guitar teaching. Maybe you can tell us first where you teach. What city and what state are you in?
I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana, in the tri-state area, northeast corner of the state. So, yeah.
And you mentioned the tri-state area. Do students come to you or do you travel to them?
I actually do both. I have several students right now that I teach in my private studio that I rent space in. And then I also have probably 3 or 4 students that I travel to their homes and teach in-home.
And how far do you travel? And for example, I don't know the area, but someone watching the video would know very well where you're talking about. So you could be specific in your answer, like where you travel to, so that people will know.
Okay, basically all around Fort Wayne, and then the surrounding areas. I have a student right now in Arcola, Indiana, which is about halfway in between Fort Wayne and Columbia City.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I'd say I'd try to do within a 20-mile radius, somewhere in there.
That makes sense. You have to put a limit on it just to make it easier for your scheduling.
Yes, definitely.
Of course. And do you teach both adults and children?
Yes, I do actually. The youngest I've taught is approximately 8 years old, and I have several students right now that are in their 50s and 60s, so quite a big age difference there.
There certainly is. That's wonderful, Adam. And how would you describe the guitar lesson climate there in Fort Wayne? Are there a lot of people who want to learn guitar?
I've met quite a few. A lot of them like to, inquire about lessons and everything. I hand out business cards. I'd say of that crowd, about half of them actually call back and sign up for lessons.
That,
So I think there's quite a big potential in Fort Wayne for guitar lessons.
I think so too. If you're getting a 50% response rate, that's quite good. So I hope that continues for you.
Yeah.
And what kind of styles of music are your students most often interested in learning?
Mostly they want to learn to play along with their favorite songs. I've taught a lot of rock genre, some country, and some pop music. I know
Hmm.
a lot of the kids these days are into that band One Direction, so
Of
I've taught
course.
several of their songs. That's primarily what their focus is, though, is just learning to play their favorite songs so they can.
Of course. And how would you describe your overall teaching approach? What do you focus on with each individual student?
Well, my primary focus would be finding out their interests and their specific goals for learning to play guitar. I always try to tailor each individual lesson towards the student. That way they can get more enjoyment out of it, because obviously if they're learning stuff that they don't want to learn, it's bad for both the teacher and the student.
It certainly is.
Yeah. So yeah, I just really try to keep their interest that way. And the majority of the students that stick with me once they get beyond that basic technical facility of being able to play a few songs, they do end up inquiring about music theory, songwriting. So we also dive into those subjects as well.
Of course, it usually works that way. If you get someone playing, then the other things, the theory and questions about how songs are put together, those usually follow, but it often doesn't work the other way around.
Exactly.
And what are your fees, Adam?
My fees range from $20 to $45, depending on the length and location of the lesson. Obviously, it's a little bit more for me to come out to a student's home rather than them coming to my space.
Of course.
Uh, and then I do 30-minute and 1 hour intervals. So it's up to the student to decide how much time they'd like to go for each lesson.
Of course. And how often do you work with students?
I try to keep it once per week.
And do you ever work with students more than that?
I have in the past, not very often. occasionally a student will ask me if it would be okay to have more time, and I'm always open and willing to do that. But for the most part, people stick to the once per week.
Yes, and uh, do you, when you're teaching, what kind of instruments do you use? What guitar do you use when you're teaching? And a second part of the question, do you ever help students learn how to use recording equipment?
Okay. Well, first of all, when I'm teaching, depending on the student, I will use either an acoustic or an electric guitar. For students that are just beginning, primarily we're doing just chords, chord strumming. So I tend to use an acoustic guitar for those types of lessons. Some of my more advanced students, we get into playing solos and stuff like that, where an electric comes in more handy.
Of course.
And then to answer the second part of the question, as far as recording goes, I do a lot of my own home recording for both my own songwriting and also for lesson material as well. And I make sure to let the students know that I do that. So if they ever did have any questions about that, they can feel free to ask, and I'll do my best to help them out with that. That
Yes.
means that I've never had a student actually approach me about recording problems and stuff like that. So,
Of course. And do you offer guidance to your students about which guitar to buy?
yes, of course. That is one of the most important things, is selecting a guitar that's right for you. Especially the younger kids, they want to go for the guitar that looks the coolest, you know.
Of course.
So it's kind of hard to steer them away from that. I always try to tell them yes, looking cool is part of the game, but more importantly, it's all about the playability. How comfortable is the instrument for you? And do you like how it sounds? Those are the
Right.
important things.
Yeah, I'd say if the guitar sounds cool, the person's going to look cool.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, as we get ready to wrap up our interview, would you like to play something for us so prospective students could get a feel for your guitar playing?
Sure. Yeah. I'll play a little bit of a classical guitar piece. It's by Heitor Villa-Lobos. It's from his suite Popular Brazilian. And I actually just performed that entire suite in my senior recital for graduation. So.
I look forward to hearing some of it. And yeah, maybe you can grab your guitar and we can just make sure that your hands will be visible on camera. So you can grab that and we'll get everything set up.
All right, that'd be great.
All right.
Try
Yeah,
to back up a little bit here.
that's right. And maybe you could push the screen down just a tiny bit so we'll get your right hand.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit more. Yeah, that should be perfect there.
All right.
Excellent. Lay us on it. I look forward to hearing.
Okay.
That's beautiful, Adam. Thank you for playing that.
Thank you.
And, yes,
Oh,
and maybe you could just put the screen back up. We'll see all of you again. That's
okay.
great. Yeah, thank you so much for being part of this interview. It's really great to learn more about you and about your guitar teaching and to hear you play.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to share with everybody.
That's great, and we look forward to seeing you on Find a Guitar Teacher.
All right. Thank you.
All right, take care now. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.